And we're back here today, even though it's still now
But
for
not
this,
now for you.
but not now for you. It's a week later. We are going to talk about the classic 1983 Stephen King and John Carpenter Christine. Now, I'm just learning that you just heard of this
Yes.
whenever I mentioned it to you.
Yes, you mentioned you wanted to do this movie next. And even if I hadn't heard of certain Stephen King or haven't seen them, I've still heard of them. Like all his big ones, like The Stand, The Shining, there's all those
It,
yeah, all those big ones. I don't know
Cujo,
how. Cujo. Yeah, even before I saw that, I'd heard
you
of
had
it.
heard of it, right?
That one escaped me.
How?
I
Like
don't
your
know.
parents didn't talk about Christine, like they didn't say like every now and then you say something about a car, like kind of like Cujo, like a dog.
Right.
Your parents never use Chris because my parents used to say it all the time.
I mean, we were more like action sci-fi comedy. With that, like maybe someone did say something and I just it
Because like my dad is a mechanic, right? He's retired, but so cars were always mentioned. My
okay.
dad would see a car on TV, he'd say, "Oh, that's a 65, whatever."
Oh, that's
So
cool.
with Christine, I always knew Christine before I read the novel was a 58 Plymouth Fury, you
Uh-huh.
know. Um,
Beautiful car, by the way.
Beautiful car.
Gosh.
And
It's hard to get mad at her.
so anyway, before we get started,
Hmm.
do you read books? You're an English guy, so obviously you read novels,
Yes, I
right?
read books, yeah.
Now look, I've probably read, I don't know how many novels Stephen King has
Oh gosh.
published, but I know I've had, if I didn't read 30, I didn't read any because he has, I mean, just the Dark
Oh,
Tower books, there's
yeah.
10 of them,
Yeah.
or
I mean,
nine.
easily 50 books,
No,
probably
there's
way
eight Dark
more.
Tower. So yeah, so
Yeah.
anyway, I've read so many of his books, but this I think is my favorite.
Wow.
I don't know what it is, but I can just remember when I started reading it, it caught me immediately.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, I'd seen the movie many times, but
Uh-huh.
the book, most of Stephen King's books are written third person, right? Well, this one is written first person, and it's what's his name?
Arnie?
Dennis. No, it's Dennis tells the
Okay.
story.
Oh,
He's
that's
telling the story about Arnie and Christine.
okay.
So I guess maybe it's just the way he wrote it, because most of Stephen King is third person, it's not first person, and
Uh-huh.
being it was written in first person, I don't know, I found it a little more interesting.
Yeah, third person's more common, but I first person I like more, even though you don't see it as much. So that's cool. I might have to
And
check that out.
Christine does way more in the book than she does in the movie. I mean, this is
Yeah.
1983. Technology didn't really
Yeah,
allow, and actually, technology doesn't allow for most of Stephen King's stuff. I mean,
right.
because it's so bizarre.
Yeah, because you talked about one of his other properties, they had a lot of trouble adapting it when they were trying, and you weren't
The
happy
Dark
with it.
Tower
Yeah.
is one, but like The Shining is
Yeah.
another one. So, but yeah, this on to Christine. So it's starring Keith Gordon, and the only other thing he plays Arnie Cunningham, and the only other thing
Hmm.
I've seen him in is The Legend of Billie Jean,
Okay.
which was done in the 80s, and the girl who played Supergirl.
Helen Slater?
Yes,
Okay.
she is Billie Jean.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's a good little movie. It's a good little 80s movie, and I've seen it a million times growing up. And when I started watching, movies or whatever, I remember thinking, oh, that's the guy from Billie Jean.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
anyway,
cool.
he
I
does
didn't
a
know
good
that.
job as Arnie.
Yeah.
John Stockwell plays Dennis, who the only other thing I've ever seen him in is Top Gun. He's Cougar, the one that's flying all like this at the very beginning. He
Oh, I
helps
didn't
land.
connect that. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Alexandra Paul is Lee. She's
The
Arnie's
female,
girlfriend.
yeah.
She's from Baywatch. She had the
Okay,
short pixie cut in Baywatch.
okay,
Um, Robert Prosky, he plays Darnell, the grumpy old Darnell.
okay. Is he the one that runs the shop?
Yes,
Okay,
Darnell.
gotcha.
And he was Robin Williams' boss in Mrs. Doubtfire. Well,
Mm,
he's the executive guy that he meets in the restaurant to sell him on his pitch.
okay,
That's him.
okay,
That's
wow.
Darnell. Henry Dean Stanton is Junkins, the police officer.
Okay.
He Pretty in
The
Pink.
detective,
Is it Pretty in Pink or is it 16 Candles? He's the dad in one of those
I'm
movies.
not sure. I'm not sure. But he's the detective, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
gotcha.
Robert Blossom is LeBay, the one who sold him Christine. He's the old man from Home Alone.
Okay, I recognized
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
I
yeah.
recognized him.
And then of course Kelly Preston, who I love me some Kelly Preston. Rest in peace. She's the first woman I ever saw without her clothes from a movie called Mischief in the 80s.
Okay.
So I have a huge thing for Kelly Preston, but so she's got a little small role. There's a little,
Who is she? Who is
she's the blonde girl that likes Dennis
at the beginning?
at the beginning. Yeah, she's
Okay.
talking to him in the hallway. She's a
Oh, gotcha.
cheerleader.
Yes.
That was John Travolta's wife. She just died of breast cancer like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
So, but anyway, um, so Christine starts off on the assembly line,
Hmm.
and have you ever watched anything John Carpenter like The Thing or Halloween?
So again, my John, when I first think Carpenter, I like Escape from New York. That's what
Okay,
I
that's
think of.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Which
Um,
I've never seen.
that's funny because the credits, I know that's kind of like a 70s, 80s thing, but the credits are exactly the same, like the black screen with the white font
And all you
and
hear is the
and that
engine.
piano bass, like that very 80s.
This one, the engine's running.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
cool. But the beginning reminds me a lot of Escape from New York, like how the credits roll. But then you're right. Then you're in the assembly line.
So you're on the assembly line,
Hmm.
and Bad to the Bone is playing, and
Yeah.
but anyway, and Christine is red. All the other Furies are white.
Oh, good call. She's different from the
She's
rest.
different from the rest, and you know right off the bat what you're getting into because she decides to close the hood on the dude's
Yeah.
hand. And one thing they never, spoilers by the way, if you haven't seen Christine, shame on you, go watch it. Um, they never explain in the movie what has possessed Christine
Sure.
or whatever, and I kind of like that to be honest with
Hmm.
you. But of course, in the novel, which is this freaking big, they go into it. He explains
Okay,
it's,
before you tell me.
well, I want you to read the book though.
Oh, okay. All right.
You think you'll ever get around to it,
No,
or you don't get to
perhaps.
read very often?
No, I might. When I'm on, maybe Thanksgiving break or something, I'll have some time.
Because
Yeah.
it's really good, man. I really really liked it.
Okay.
But they he gives an explanation. There's an
Okay.
explanation of what has possessed Christine.
Interesting. Yeah, because it's kind of cool that they don't tell you. Um, I mean, from my background, I assumed it was some kind of a supernatural, like demonic force that's in it or something. But I don't know. That's just kind of where my head went. But go ahead.
So anyway, what did you think? Did you when you I mean you obviously not knowing anything about it.
Yeah, I went in blind.
When you go in blind and you see the opening scene, did you like did it like catch you? Say, okay, we're in for something, or were you just like that's dumb?
So when I was first watching it, I was like, okay, wait, what's going on? And I was like, all right, so the buy-in is you got to believe that this car can do stuff, right?
Right?
So I was kind of in the middle. I was kind of like, all right, let's see where it goes.
What kind of crap does Nelson have me watching?
Yeah, and at first I was kind of weighing it in my head. I'm like, I started thinking of Cujo, and I was like, okay, right now I like Cujo more, but I'm still watching it. And then at one point, I got in, and I'll tell you where.
Okay.
If you when you go a little further, I'll tell you where my buy-in was.
So after the hand, you have the black guy who goes, I guess he's
Yes.
like a quality control individual is what he is.
Mm-hmm. And
So he sits down and what does he do? He disrespects Christine and knocks some of his ash on the seat.
yeah.
And so she's got to kill a dude. You know what I'm saying? I,
Yeah.
I love this movie, by
She
the way.
didn't start it.
No, but she finished it.
She
Well, I guess she
finished it.
did kind of start it. She smashed the dude's hand for no reason.
Oh yeah. Well, I was thinking with the ash,
Oh,
but
with
yeah,
the
with
ash. Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I guess I don't know. That's because all the other instances, the other people kind of started.
Right. And she gets possessive.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I was just curious as to how you thought,
Yeah.
like how the movie opened up to some, I mean, I watched it as a kid growing up, so
So it's kind of
I don't really
embedded already in your
remember the
head.
whole, how I felt about it the first time.
Yeah, so like to me, like I'm kind of open. I'll give anything a chance. So I was on the fence really, and then there's at one point where I'm like, all right, now I get what we're doing, and I'm in.
Okay. Um, so then after that, you're introduced to Dennis going pick up, you're introduced to Dennis
Yes.
first. He drives up into Arnie's
Right.
driveway, but you notice he doesn't get close.
Right.
And at first it's like, why is he not getting close? But then you realize it's because Arnie's
The
parents
family,
suck.
yeah.
They're
And
like just miserable people,
yeah.
and
And,
poor Arnie.
yeah, and Dennis is basically he's kind of like the good jock. Like
Hmm.
he's the popular, sports guy, but he's the one that's like he's
Well,
cool with the
it's
nerds too. Like
it's
he's
obvious
yeah.
he and Arnie
Hmm.
were friends since probably like kindergarten or whatever.
Yeah.
And as they've grown up, Arnie is still, he's just that's his personality. He's just
Right.
a little bit of an odd duck.
Right.
And Dennis, is kind of a cool cat. So, but
Yeah.
that's his
But
friend.
they're still friends, which is
They're
cool. Yeah.
childhood friends. So
Hmm.
that happens a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Even like, any kid you still keep in contact with as you grow older, your careers are different, stuff like that,
Yeah.
but you still have a bond. Yeah.
So I like the polar opposite friends. It's
Yeah.
better than if they were both the same.
Right.
You
It'd be
know,
more one note. It wouldn't
yeah.
be as dynamic.
Yeah, so anyway, so they're going to school, whatever, then you get introduced. Well, that's how you realize why Arnie's the way he is. It's character
Hmm.
development. Um, then you
He's a
have
typical dork. He's got the
right,
glasses. He
right.
can't fit in.
And then you see then they introduce your antagonist,
Yeah.
Buddy, with his switchblade and his goons and all of that good
And
stuff.
he looks like
And he looks
about
like he's 48
45.
years old.
He
Um,
looks older than me now, and he's in high school.
80s, man. He looked the same age as the teacher who was fussing at him, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, you gotta love it. But so they're laying groundwork, right? John
Hmm.
Carpenter is laying groundwork for you. Um, the movie,
Can I stop you?
sure.
So in that scene, they're like in a wood shop class or something.
Yeah,
I
it's
get
like
the
shop
feel of
class, yeah.
yeah. So Arnie's getting picked on, and like they smash his glasses, they ruin his lunch, and his friend Dennis, right?
Yep.
He tries to stand up for him, and he gets kind of
Hmm.
involved, and then that's when I was in,
That's
because
when
I
you're
was
in.
like, wait a minute, the car's gonna defend him.
Oh, okay. You
That
picked up on it.
that was my buy-in. I was like, because he's like such a, he nothing's going right. I'm like, okay, the car's gonna buy in with him and kind of save him. So that's when I was like, okay, cool. I see
Yeah.
where it's going.
So
Yeah.
they're setting all this stuff up. Then they're driving home and they're talking about, oh yeah, they kicked out Buddy. So you know that that's not over with, right?
Right.
Buddy's gonna come back. He's
Yes.
gonna have run-ins with Buddy. And on the way home, he's like, oh, stop, 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 stop. And he sees Christine
Right.
and he has Dennis pull in.
Yes.
Um, I Googled to see how much $300 was worth, and it's a little over $1,000 now.
Okay.
So I mean, you can get a running driver. It may not be very
Reliable.
reliable, but you can get a
You
run
get
and driver car
something.
for a
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah.
And Christine, that's she was in kind of rough shape, but she
Yeah.
started.
And you know what? It kind of reminds me of the place in Cujo too, because that shop is in a remote area and it's
Mhm.
run down. So I kind of noticed some of that similarity that Stephen King had in there.
So I like LeBay. I like the character and him telling the story about his brother, which in the novel they go way into that. You
Okay.
get you get chapters of the brother in the car. Um,
Oh, it's backstory.
right,
Okay.
it's backstory. I'm pretty sure you hear about the incident of his daughter choking to death in the car, like he mentioned
Uh-huh.
his wife, I mean his daughter choked to death, then
The
he
brother's
wouldn't,
daughter.
yeah,
Yes.
wouldn't give it up and all that good stuff. So
That's
you, you
cool.
get a little bit more of that, and the only reason I can see they cut a lot of that out was runtime. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
movie as it is an hour and 47 minutes, so it probably, 1983,
Yeah.
they wanted things to move.
Right.
So I'm sure there's probably a little bit more exposition that was cut out.
Mm-hmm.
You
If
know,
they did it today, they'd probably make a
a
8 episode
series.
Netflix
Yeah,
series
yeah.
and go into all that. But yeah, I noticed that a lot of times when they move from books to movies, they'll cut out like flashbacks
Hmm.
and just to make it quicker. So, but no, that'd be cool hearing more of that background
Hmm.
because it's just kind of glossed over. He
Yeah,
says it real
yeah. It's
quick.
just like real quick, and
Yeah.
Arnie's like, whatever. He's a
Yeah.
great negotiator. Whatever it is, it's not enough. Well, shut up. And that's what Dennis keeps trying to tell him. He's
Yeah.
like, dude, shut up. But
Right.
whatever. So he gets Christine.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then he goes to Darnell's garage because his parents are like, you're not, because they suck. His parents
Right.
really do suck. Like, it's bad. I dislike his parents more than Buddy.
they kind of remind me of some of the parents in Stranger Things, which is funny because that's pulling from this era and these type of movies. So that's cool. Um,
So yeah, his especially his mom. It's like, geez, Louise,
yeah, it's like
what crawled up her butt?
I know, it's like if you're too strict like that, they're gonna rebel.
So what do you think about Darnell,
Darn it. Oh,
the
that's
old
the
man?
shop, right?
Yeah.
Um, weird. It was weird.
I know. It's like, why is he being so mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'll kick you on your effing
I'm like, he's giving you business. Like,
just grouchy old man.
and it's weird too because like you could just pull up at like 2 a.m. and it's fine. That
It's a
part is,
different time,
yeah,
man. They're staying away from the wives. They're
yeah,
hanging out, smoking cigarettes and gambling. And he's like,
right.
no smoking in here. You want a bud, you go outside. And he's like, sir, those
And that
guys are
that whole group
smoking.
is smoking, yeah.
They're all smoking. Maybe you should tell them.
Right. That was funny.
And what he said, if you sold him that piece of shit, you ought to be ashamed of yourself or something.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't. I tried to stop him. Well, you didn't try hard enough.
Yeah, yes, some of the dialogue is really cool. Like
Fun
very
fact, the movie had, I mean, if you probably noticed, there's like no gore in this movie. Like
yeah, it was a lot
zero.
cleaner than I thought it would be.
But it's rated R.
Hmm.
And what happened was they knew they weren't going to have a rated R movie. So John Carpenter was like, okay, well, let's just put a bunch of cursing. Because it's a horror movie, it's got to be rated R.
Uh-huh.
So they just put a bunch of cursing in it to make it rated R. Other than that, the movie would be like PG.
What?
Because there was no
Yeah.
PG-13.
Yeah, I mean, RoboCop and Jaws are like way more gory than this.
Mhm,
But yeah, I noticed that. I was like, it's pretty clean. I mean, yeah, there's some cussing. It's almost all takes place at night.
mhm. You
And
don't see like any of the kills. You don't really see
they're all
what
like wide
happens.
shots. Like it's not
Or
up
they cut
close.
away or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, I noticed that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, that's why some of the dialogue there's a lot of cursing, and it's because they needed it to be rated R
Right.
to be credible for people to go watch, thinking, it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
If it had been PG, nobody would have
Well, and
watched a
that
PG
was
horror movie.
before Temple of Doom, so that
Yep,
was when
yep,
it was PG or R, so that makes more sense.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay, what do I have next here? This is just a couple of notes I took
Yeah.
down. Okay, yeah, so this is where Arnie starts to kind of change a little bit as he's working on Christine. He
Mm-hmm.
starts making deliveries for Darnell. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
he's in Darnell's car and he's driving and he's going to make his deliveries, which they really gloss over. And if you don't pay attention, you kind of miss that part that he's doing that. But that's a big part in the book. Like they
Okay.
go way more into how much he's doing for Darnell.
Yeah, because in the movie it's like he's running errands for him, but they never talk
Right.
about it. You just
And
see him doing it
if I
sometimes.
remember correctly, they may not be all on the up and up, some of the errands.
Oh, so there's some shadiness
Yeah,
going
there's a little Darnell's a little shady. Yeah,
on.
yeah. So I
Which is
guess,
probably why he has a kid doing it.
and that's why they glossed over it. They're like, ah, yeah, he's delivering some
Gotcha.
parts or whatever.
Gotcha.
Um, but as Christine is getting in better shape,
Uh-huh.
Arnie's getting more confident, and it's kind of going hand in hand, like what's going on here? And it's
Yes.
because something comes over, like basically what happened to the old man's brother
Mm-hmm.
is happening to
Starting
Arnie.
to happen to him, yeah. And I like how it's not a light switch. It's happening gradually.
It's like a descent into madness
Mm-hmm.
movie type of thing,
Yeah.
because he slowly gets a little crazier as it goes.
But at first I'm like, dude, go Arnie. Like
Yeah.
he got rid of the glasses. He's looking better. He's got the girl. He's making out at the
hmm
football field. I
But
was
then
like,
all of a sudden,
get out there.
Christine is like perfect.
Yes.
And that's what causes Dennis to get injured. He's like, wait, the car is done. Now he's
Uh-huh.
got the girl.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, and you're right. That's when he gets injured when he's playing on the field.
hmm
And so yeah, Dennis gets injured, and then you slowly like it's cool because like at first I'm like kind of down with it. Like,
hmm
like Arnie's been through all this junk, and then he's finally getting like
Some confidence
confidence
and yep.
and and then from there it do I'm trying to remember. So then we go to is it the drive-in theater around this time?
No, we're not quite to
Not
that
quite
part.
there
Like
yet. Okay.
I have, the delivery, whatever, And I guess so. This actually happened before he started noticing Arnie was acting kind of crazy, Dennis. So he went back to the old man to ask him about the car.
Oh, right.
And that's when the old man gets tells the story more about the brother.
Uh-huh.
And he says, well, if your brother, had all these issues, why didn't he just get rid of the car? And he's like,
Right.
he did. And my favorite line in the whole movie, he says, of course, 3 weeks later, the car came back. That's like my favorite line in the whole
Yeah,
movie. He's
'cause
like, what? The
yeah, it's
car came back?
unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like yeah. All that yeah, that background it just builds. And I like that. And then, from there, what do we have? Arnie,
So he gets hurt, whatever.
hmm he visited him in the hospital.
Yep. And then he's really acting like a jerk and all this good stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, now you're starting to see the shift. At first, like you said, you're kind of proud of Arnie and
Yeah.
he's kind of coming out of his funk, but now it's like, okay, now he's becoming a jerk. Like,
Now yeah.
what's really going on?
Right,
You know?
because he's kind of just staring at him like when he's in the bed. Is he drinking?
Yeah, he drinking beer
Yeah, yeah. It's
in a
like the middle.
hospital. 1983, baby. You just bring all beer on in.
Right. And
So then the next scene is the
mhm.
drive-in scene.
Yes. And that's when it starts to
Get
you
possessive.
start to see some of his more of the dark side come out because they're starting to, make out and move around in the car, and then she kind of stops, and then he just goes AWOL
Right.
and gets all upset, and the car is kind of it's defending Christine's defending him, and she starts to like lose like she's choking in the
Well,
car,
before that, she's
right?
like,
Yeah, she's
and,
hitting the seat.
and he's
Yeah.
like, don't do that. And she's
Yeah.
like, what? Hit your car? And he's like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah. And it's funny too because it's like they have like a symbiotic relationship, like Arnie in the car.
Hmm.
It's like it's part of him, and it just happens naturally. And then when it starts to happen, you see
And
where
so
it's
what does she
going.
do? Christine says, oh, look, my windshield wiper's broken. Gets him out the car,
Yeah.
locks it, and then tries choking her.
Yeah, yeah, and then he can't get back
And he
in.
can't get back in. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that other guy has to do the Heimlich on her, and she gets mad at him for that. And yeah, that whole thing, like Arnie starts to go too far though, like where he's like yelling, like he's gonna lose her interest in him, but he's like so like appalled about the car and about her not wanting, he's very aggressive.
Hmm. Hmm.
He starts to go a little too far with it. And then he apologizes and gets mad again, and it's like very up and down with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not
He's
controlling his emotions well.
yeah, he's kind of losing it.
Yeah, he's starting to lose it.
Because what does he say? I think you're just sexually frustrated. It's like, what? What are you talking about?
That's like,
She just almost died, you crazy person.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's like a dark version of you're my density.
goodness, my density.
He reminded me a little bit of McFly at the beginning too, of George.
So after the date, he goes, she's like, basically, I don't want to be around if you don't want to give up the car, all that good stuff. He gets
Hmm.
mad. He goes drop off the car, and that's when Buddy and the gang show up at the garage
Oh, dude,
and hurt my heart. Like watching it
yeah.
destroy the car, I'm like, no, it's so
They,
pretty.
I know. Even at this point, Christine's starting to be a little more sinister, but I'm on Christine and Arnie's side at this point.
Oh yeah.
Like, they just destroy it for like virtually just because they don't like them.
Hmm.
And like, I mean, it's not even like they just key it. They like bash the
They
window,
destroyed
they
it.
destroy it.
Screwdriver in the seats and
Yeah,
tearing the
yeah, the fat one.
seats.
I'm like, gosh. And then the big old guy, he's busting the windshield with the bat or whatever, and I mean, just destroying that
I don't know
car.
how the actors did it. I'd be like, man, you really want me to destroy this?
Yeah, because that was all practical. They did it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's so yeah. I mean, I'm sure the one they destroyed was not a like somewhat of a model, right? It probably didn't have the engine in it.
They
I don't
had
know.
several, yeah, they
Yeah,
had several little mock-ups that they make it
yeah.
look like the
Right,
car
like the
and
shell of it, but
right.
still, like, yeah, that was a shame, man. And then when he comes back after deliveries the next day with this girlfriend, and dude, I mean, that's devastating.
Yeah.
That's like coming home and your house is gone.
Oh, yeah, that his face just he's and then
Yeah.
of course the whole time, he snaps because
Uh-huh.
she's like, you didn't want the car or whatever. I don't remember exactly what he said, but basically you made me choose between the car and
Oh,
you.
yes. And he's
You know,
also mad at his parents because they made him keep the
right.
car there. Had it been at home, maybe it wouldn't have got vandalized.
And then he like grab his dad by the face or something.
Um, yes, yes, he does because he yells at his mom, like cusses out his mom, and then the dad comes to, defend his wife.
I'm
And
sorry, but if I was the dad, they'd have been picking him up in a
yeah,
body bag. Okay.
yeah, because the dad gets in his face and he like grabs his throat or
Yeah,
something.
like
And then he's like, "I'll be upstairs," and he goes upstairs.
yeah, man. I
Gosh,
went on a
yeah.
call when I was a police officer. I got dispatched to a 16-year-old called the police because his dad punched him, right?
Uh-huh.
So we're myself and another officer are going, and it's like all kind of things play through your head when you're dispatched to a call and you get read the comments.
Uh-huh.
Long story short, the dad busted the boy acting inappropriately with his sister, who was only like a year younger than him, his sister's
Oh
friend, not the
gosh.
sister, the sister's friend.
Yeah.
And they were like, kissing and touching or whatever. So the dad starts fussing him or whatever, and the kid is not listening, and the dad says, go to your room, he won't go. So the dad tries to grab him by the arm and make
Uh-huh.
him go.
Uh-huh.
Well, the boy swung at the dad, and the
Oh.
dad was an OG, and the dad got a swerve on
Uh-huh.
and popped him in the mouth,
Yeah.
right? So then the boy wants to call the police. So guess what I did when I got there? I shook the daddy's hand and I told the boy, I said, hey, you want to act like a man, you can get treated like a man.
Right.
Don't call the police if you're going to swing on your dad. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So, but anyway,
Yeah, because
that's
I mean, you could be responding to something more. Yeah.
right. I mean, you swung on the man.
Yeah.
Should have beat you down.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think of that every time I see this movie. I think of that call.
Yeah. I mean, because even if you could physically take your father or whatever, out of respect,
Yeah,
you
you
don't
just don't
do
do
that.
that. You don't
Because
do
if
that.
you do that, then like you might as well just do whatever.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I'd have whooped
Yeah.
Arnie's butt.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Totally.
so after this, um,
We see it come back to life. This is the first time we see
we
it.
see you see he starts fixing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he tries to call what's her name to get her back. She doesn't want, and that's whenever he at that point he looks at Christine and or he was working on it and he something happens like the radio turns on maybe or
I
something.
think so. Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, show me. And
Yeah.
that's when you see the scene of it coming back, which is awesome. Can you
Yes.
imagine in 1983 how that blew people's minds?
No, that was really well
But what
done.
they did was they made a plastic replica, okay, and they pulled it in and made it crumble, and then
Uh-huh.
they just reversed the footage. Is how they did
Okay.
it.
I was thinking that it was probably some reversal because, you see it uncrush.
Hmm.
Like the way that's really creative. I mean, that looks way more convincing than if it would have been like CGI or
Yeah,
something.
no, they
Yeah,
made a plastic version of certain parts of the
that's so
car and just
cool.
pulled it in and then just reversed it and it looks like she's fixing herself.
That's cool. And I like how Arnie has to say something
Hmm.
for it to come about.
And the
So,
scene is all, I mean, look, John Carpenter, in my opinion, is a master filmmaker. Like, I love his shots.
hmm.
And the shot of Arnie standing and then the headlights turning on, the headlights are on either side of Arnie. I mean, and then the music goes, pew, and because John
Yeah,
Carpenter does all his own music as well.
yeah, all that keyboard stuff, like
So it
very,
just,
yeah,
that's
80s.
like awesome, man. I love
Yeah.
that stuff.
No, that's what keeps something from being dated. Like when
Hmm.
you have those awesome shots like
Yeah,
that,
I
you're
mean,
like,
that's
that'd be
1983.
so hard to do that again, like exactly how he had it. So that's what keeps it like, you
Yeah,
know.
he loves his what do you call those tracking shots and all that. He likes to
hmm
do all that stuff. So,
And he loves night. He
yep,
loves shooting at
love
night.
shooting at night. So he's I don't know. That scene is awesome.
Yeah. And the Stephen King with John Carpenter, that's like a perfect blend because they're both similar style, I guess you could say.
So after she fixes herself, then that's when
It's on.
it's on,
hmm
and she goes and she goes after the fat kid, And I love that scene. Um, that's one of the stunt cars, and it
Okay.
has if you rewatch it, you'll notice. all the glass is blacked out. They tinted it completely black.
Oh,
So
okay.
you can't see the stunt man driving it, you know.
Gotcha.
But that's the stunt car where you see Christine driving with no driver.
Right.
Um, but the way she kills him, like she just squeezes herself in
Yeah.
between the wall. I mean, that's awesome, man. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's because you would think if you're the kid, oh, I'm safe because it can't
yeah.
get, but it does. Like that was, I didn't expect that. I was like, dang, it like crunches on the side and it just keeps
And
going like a shark.
and in yeah,
Yeah,
in the book, she does some crazy stuff. Stuff
really.
that obviously they couldn't do. I'm talking like, well, I don't want to give it away. You have to read
Yeah,
it, but
I need to check that out.
there's a lot more creative kills and like just stuff that it's hard to even picture what Stephen King is writing that she
Yeah,
does.
and for a film like this or a book, like you need to see it. Like, because
Hmm.
if you tell someone what it's about, you're like, huh?
What?
But if you experience the way they did it, like they pull it off, and
Hmm.
like it's not silly, you know. Like Transformers is silly.
Yeah, yeah.
This is yeah.
Like I mean, it's not believable, but it's
It's like the darkness and Arnie's story, like all that, you just kind of buy it,
hmm
you know, because of the way they do it. Um, and so yeah, he's taken out first, and then there's a detective that starts investigating it.
yep, Junkins.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, like Arnie's kind of involved, but not
Right,
really.
because Arnie didn't know.
Yeah,
Well,
he didn't.
he did hear. He's like, you heard so and so got killed last night. He's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I heard that.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then he says they had to scrape up his legs with a shovel, and
Mhm.
then when
He's like, well, you always have to scrape up shit or something like that.
he
Yeah.
just like doesn't care at
Nope.
all.
Nope.
But I mean, at this point, like he's Arnie's
But
being a jerk about
he
it.
doesn't know that Christine did it.
Right. He's not, it's not like he killed the kid.
Nope.
He's just
So
kind
he's
of,
really kind of wondering, like, why are you talking to? Why is this police officer talking to? Is it
yeah,
against the law to fix your car?
yeah,
You know?
yeah, and then the detective really can't do anything at that
No.
point because he
And
doesn't
he's really
have
not
any.
worried about the car. He's worried about the murder.
Right. So then after that, um, we go into, I'm trying to think, it's is because I know he goes after the other members.
Yeah, that's a little bit later. He
Yeah.
goes, um, yeah, after he visits Arnie and everything, I think it's the next night is when Christine kills Buddy and the other two,
Yeah. And
which
man,
is a good scene.
yeah.
The car just ramming
And
everything.
it's a gas station, right?
Hmm. You
Yeah.
notice the one that she kills first with the crazy hair is the guy
Uh-huh.
from Ghostbusters that spits out the gum when he's getting shocked by Venkman at the
I
beginning.
didn't realize that. Yeah. And that's around this time
Hmm.
too, roughly.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
year before.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. Wow. And then the 45-year-old student, he gets it bad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which, I mean, he was the ringleader.
Hmm. Oh,
Um,
Christine being on fire,
that was cool,
great
man.
visual.
That was, I think that's my,
Driving down the road at about 5 miles an hour, really slow. I
yeah.
mean, but it's all about the shot. It's
Yeah.
all about the shot, and that's what
That
King's
was
going for.
that was I know you like the shot with the headlights, but to me that when I saw that shot I was like, wow. Like, it
Hmm.
was almost like Ghost Rider or something like but done like
Hmm.
serious. It- I know it sounds weird to say that, but that was cool to and how they kept the fire on it and you get the idea this is happening at like 1 in the morning. Like nobody would know.
And whenever she runs over Buddy, the body is just like on fire, rolling
Yeah,
under the
and then you
car.
see the body burning
Yeah,
on the ground.
that's great stuff, man.
Yeah, that was that car on fire was interesting. That was different. I liked that.
Yeah. So after, let's see, killed Buddy. Oh yeah. So then Arnie picks up Dennis, and they're gonna go
Uh-huh.
to a party or something.
Oh yeah, because he starts the party in the car
And he's
with
drinking while he drives, but then he's basically showing him like modern day Tesla technology. Look, no hands.
yeah, which I thought that was cool when he did because Dennis is
And
like
Christine just kept it on the road.
yeah
And
through
that's
a
whenever
curve.
Dennis is like, okay, something's up with this car. At
Yeah.
first, he didn't really quite believe it,
Yeah,
I
I thought
think,
maybe it was like an
but
urban legend
it's
or
like,
something.
okay, the damn car's driving itself. So
Yeah.
something's definitely up with the car.
No, that was a cool scene though because it shows how far Arnie's gone,
Yep.
but then it also lets Dennis know what's going on.
Hmm.
So that was an interesting scene. And then at some point Arnie's girlfriend starts talking to Dennis and they start to conspire about what they can do to
Well, yeah, he
stop.
said we got to destroy it.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And then from from the thing in the car, they go to where does he take them to? Trying to remember where he takes them
I
to.
don't remember, but I do know that Dennis, not long after that, is when Dennis uh carves
Yeah.
meet at or Darnell's at what 7 or whatever, or
Yeah,
meet
he
at
car
Darnell
he
tonight at Darnell's. I
yeah,
think is what he
he carves
carves
it
in
into the
there.
car, which is interesting.
Hmm.
Like that's how he communicates with the car. I thought that was clever than just saying it, you know. That was a little more clever to do it that way. And then it kind of eventually goes down to that whole showdown at Darnell's at night.
Yeah, right after that is the
Mm-hmm.
showdown. Um, I don't think they quite thought it through,
Yeah.
but they're a couple of teenagers,
It's
so
kid,
whatever.
yeah.
Um,
He gets on
but
a Caterpillar tractor.
yeah, it gets on a bulldozer and all that
Uh-huh.
stuff. But I found it as I rewatched it this time, I was like, so Arnie was driving it at first. It was Arnie was driving Christine when
On this scene, yeah.
right in this scene, Arnie was actually driving Christine when Christine was buried under some stuff and they didn't even realize it.
Okay, yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, 'cause you see his face and he has yeah, I remember that.
so well, yeah, well, the car just comes out. So the
Uh-huh.
car was they were Christine was already at Darnell's and they didn't realize it.
Right. Yeah, you're right. It was already
Yeah,
there.
they were waiting for him to show up, but the whole time
He
he
was
was
in the
actually there.
darkness and he was
Yeah.
sitting there. Yeah.
And you don't realize that it's Arnie until right before he after he tries to hit her a few times, Christine repairs herself,
Uh-huh.
and that's when you realize Arnie's in the car because they show his face and he's all
Right.
like looking crazy and all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
he looks out of his mind.
Hmm.
And that was interesting too because the other shots he's not in it,
Hmm.
like before this. So that just shows how now
Well, how they become one. Like
yes,
he was so
he's consumed by it.
yes, consumed. That's the word I was looking
There's
for.
no turning back. Like they're like you said, I like how you
They've
said it. They're
become
one.
one. Yep.
Yeah. And yeah,
And
that
then he
was
flies out the damn windshield and dies.
that's so
Yeah.
sad. And what's even more sad is like it's almost like you're like someone that won't let go of their bad habits or their sin. Like he's dying and he's still just touching the
Yep.
car. Like that was so sad. Like he's got
There was
seconds left
right. There was
and
no
he
redemption. There was no
none.
Arnie didn't come back. He still
No.
was until he took his last breath where it was all about
Because some people
Christine.
be like, "Oh my gosh, what did I do?" He
Right,
was
right.
just his last second. He just wanted to touch the car one more time.
Mhm.
That's crazy, man. Like I thought that was the shot that stuck with me.
And then Christine was like, "Wait, I ain't done." And she
Yeah.
goes after, tries to hit the girl and everything.
Gosh, yeah. Yeah, that's something too. So then yeah, then it's just Dennis and the girl, and eventually they they
They
run
run
her
Christine
over.
over, which is a cool shot, by the
Yeah,
way.
it
That
looks
was really
good.
neat the way they did
And
that.
even when they grabbed her earlier and you
Hmm.
kind of see everything
Oh,
cut into the side.
well, the mouth, like it looked like Christine had
Yeah.
teeth
Oh,
at one point.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You
And
see it's jagged.
hmm
That was interesting.
That
That
was
was
after Christine tried to ram her at the hits where she's hiding in the
in the inside the pillar.
inside the
Yeah.
bulldozer. What
Like
do they
in the
call that?
in the
They call
cockpit
it
thing.
bucket.
Yeah,
On an excavator, it's called a bucket, but in the
yeah.
bulldozer mouth, whatever,
Yeah.
comes
Um
out, and Christine looks like she's got some teeth.
Yeah, that was cool because
Hmm.
it was kind of like playing with that idea, but it not directly. I like that. And then yeah, so they crush it, and then from there we get the junkyard scene.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
how awesome was the junkyard scene when they heard the radio?
Yes, I thought it was coming back. I thought it was still alive in there.
That's funny. They got
Yeah,
you.
they
I knew
did.
better.
No, I thought
Um,
it was because you think the music turns back on, and all through this thing, when she's about to do something or say something, you hear the
yeah, I hear
radio.
you knocking, but you can't come in.
Yeah, it was clever the
Hmm.
song choices. But then you hear it again, but it's a guy walking by
With a
with the
boom
stereo.
box,
Yeah, with the
a
boom
boom
box.
box with old music.
Yeah,
Didn't really make sense.
the
Yeah,
old rock
the old
music.
rock music.
But yeah, and it's like they got that thing. It's like a
Mhm.
cube now.
But then you just see the little bit of metal go. "Ee."
Oh,
You missed
I
it,
missed that. I gotta look at that
dude.
again.
We're gonna watch it after this. I'm gonna show you the
That's
very last
okay.
scene. A little piece of metal just goes.
So it's still alive.
Yes.
Christine's still alive.
And then it cuts to credits, and Bad to the Bone starts playing.
Dang. That's interesting. Yeah, I need
You
to see
probably
that
started
spot
writing
again.
some notes or something.
Yeah, I need to see that shot again. So I like that because my one thing about the end, I was like, I didn't. I wanted to kind of. I thought it'd be better if they kind of just kept it open. Whether they do anything with it later or not, it's just cool that it's still
Hmm.
out there.
Hmm. Oh
So
no, Christine ain't dead, bro.
yeah, so it may take her, years to pull herself back
I mean, it
together.
didn't make sense that just crushing it and making it into a cube that she wouldn't
Yeah,
be able to repair herself
right, because she repaired herself the
because
whole.
she can repair herself no matter what.
Yeah,
And just because Arnie died doesn't mean that she's not still possessed by something.
right. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Ghost Rider thing because it's like it finds another body. Like, Arnie's not the last one. It could find someone else
Mhm.
after him, just like it found him because there was another guy before him. But no, that was interesting. It was an interesting watch
So
for sure.
on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give old Christine for a first time watch?
A scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably, I'd say a 7. I'd
That's
say
a
a
great
7.
score.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say a 7.
Christine's a good 8 for me.
Okay.
Um, because I mean, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
Um, it, it's weird. It kind of I, I I guess because after I read the novel and I know how much more Christine actually did, you kind of
Mm,
want to see some a little bit more.
yeah.
But I think it's just a great movie. I like it.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't want it to ever be remade.
Okay, I was gonna
Um,
ask you that next.
no, I don't want it to be. I like leave it alone.
Yeah.
Don't remake it. Leave it alone. It's fine. It's great just like it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. And also, like, you'd lose all that 80s stuff
Hmm.
if they remade it, unless they did it a period piece like Stranger Things.
And even though this
Yeah.
is in 4K, it looks great, but they maintain the film grain. Because a lot of times when they remaster these movies, they'll scrub the grain,
Mm-hmm.
get rid of the noise to make it look cleaner. And I mean, it's okay to do a little bit of that,
Sure.
but they didn't do much at all in this. They
Good.
pretty much keep it film grain, but because it's in 4K, it's sharp, it looks good, a little bit of softness every now and then, but the detail is great. But the biggest thing is the colors in here. The colors, it looks great. The greens, like the grass and everything, look really pretty.
Uh-huh.
And of course, the car.
Yeah.
Christine looks great.
Yeah.
The sound, it is a Dolby Atmos track on the 4K, and it sounds okay. I mean, you got the rain scene with the drive-in, so you hear a little bit of rain on top.
Oh, that's cool.
Um,
Yeah,
the
that is
the
cool. You
yeah,
spend so much time in the drive-in. That's
the
cool.
roar of the engine sounds good. You get a little bit of bass. I wish there'd been a little bit more. They could have turned up the LFE a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but it's fine. It's good. As far as a disc goes, it's worth. I think right now it's like $18 on Amazon. It's
Oh, that's
definitely
not bad
worth
at
it if
all
you
for a
like that kind
4K.
of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the digital copy, the digital 4K on iTunes right now is 4.99. So you paid probably $4 to rent it, and you could have owned it.
Well, no, I rented it for free because it was like if you did an AMC free trial, you
Oh,
got to.
okay. Well, there you go.
So yeah, but no, if I'm gonna buy a movie, I buy the physical
Yeah,
copy.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But
old school.
it's a good one. I give it a good 8.
Yeah,
It's good.
and you're more of a horror guy than I am, so an 8 makes sense. But yeah, I'd say a 7. And when it started off, like I said, I had that thought like, oh, I kind of like Cujo a little more, but when it was finished,
This is better.
I like this
Yeah.
better. Yeah,
Cujo's good,
I like Cujo, but I like this better.
but this is better.
Yeah,
You can watch this one more often.
yeah,
It's probably a little bit more,
and
I'm not gonna
it's
say the word relatable, but it kind of is relatable because it's a lot of teenagers going through teenage
mm-hmm.
things.
Dealing with bullies, dealing
Yeah,
with
yeah,
yeah,
where Cujo is. Not everybody gets to deal with a rabid dog.
yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, and with this, the for me, it's the atmosphere of Christine is awesome.
mhm.
I love it. I like how it's all at
The
night.
acting is really good. Of course, it was good
Yeah.
in Cujo, but the
Hmm.
acting is really good. I don't
Hmm.
know. And John Carpenter's flair with his music and
Yeah.
his cinematography and stuff. It's just good. It's a
Yeah.
good movie.
I agree. And yeah, yeah, and Cujo is just a little more stressful like with that kid. I felt so bad. With this, I'm like it was an interesting ride for sure, you know.
Cool.
Ah, no pun intended.
Ah, I didn't catch it. All right. Well, I guess that'll about do it for our Christine little rundown, and I'm glad you watched it.
Yeah,
And so we'll figure out something else that you haven't seen.
sounds
And
fun.
for the spooky season, we'll keep this up for the next couple of weeks. I mean, if you want to.
No, it sounds good. I'm having a good time so far.
All right. Well, once again, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and we will catch you on the next one. Adios.